Let's see. Background. No background. Background. No background. Background. No background. Background. No background. Hey guys, and welcome back to my Let's Play of Sonic 06 for the PlayStation 3. So now that we've had our fun with the wonderful scenery of Soleanna, that was weird. It is now time to go after all of Silver's remaining missions. Now we had to do quite a lot of town missions for Silver during the actual story mode. As such, there isn't really that many left. I think there's a total of 11. There is a different number of town missions for each of the characters. Sonic has 20, Silver has, I think it's 18, and Shadow only has 15. But it also all depends on how many we had to do in the story. As such, I believe it's Shadow that actually has the most optional town missions, so we're going to be doing quite a lot with Shadow, but for Silver, well, this is going to be relatively painless, or it should be. Unfortunately, quite a lot of Silver's missions are of the kill the enemies variety, and, well, it's Silver. So, I think that speaks for itself. But look, it wouldn't be a town mission without Superman 64. So, more going through orange rings, and this time we actually also have to collect these item boxes which fill up our action gauge while we're gliding. You don't need to collect absolutely every single one of them, because this is ridiculous. You really don't need that many. I would recommend picking them up though, because they do give you 200 points, and with some of these town missions you need all the points you can get. The S ranks are quite easy to get with Sonic, but for Shadow and Silver, they're either really easy or really hard. So just be aware of that. I mean, that one was easy. Quite a lot of points, and you're either going to be just barely making these S ranks, or you're going to get them well over what you need on just time bonus alone.
Aye.
And that was terrible editing I did there. I don't even know how that happened, but anyway. It is now time for Silver to touch into his inner Johnny Appleseed by putting apples into a barrel. And that is all we're doing. You're not after a certain number. Well, you might be, I'm not sure. But all you have to do is just pick them up, put them in the barrels. And it's not a matter of getting a certain amount within the time limit or anything. But this time limit will go down to 0. You do get a time bonus for this mission, but it is a fixed time bonus. Although I would like to point out that even though it says 5 minutes, it does very slightly go above 5 minutes. Which is kind of odd, but you guys aren't going to be seeing this for 5 whole minutes. If you want the S rank, you're going to need about 180 apples, and it's quite difficult to get them all in. It's quite difficult to see where the apples actually are in comparison to the barrel. And when Silver releases them, he does throw them forwards a bit. So do be aware of that, but you need about 180 to get about 18,000 points, and that should just be enough to get you the S rank. Because of course it's a fixed time bonus, but you get 100 points for each apple. So it's relatively simple, and I can finally say we can get out of this godforsaken hub world. Yay! I meant to put in the other loading screen. Boy, I was sloppy with the editing this time, wasn't I? So we have quite a few missions to do here in New City, including a couple that we have to do within the warehouse. And this is where we start to realise the repetition of Silver's town missions, because this is what we're doing for the most part. Defeating enemies. Be it Eggman's robots or Solaris monsters, but at the very least this one is a little bit different. So Roberta here is telling us that these red barrels are highly explosive, so we must prevent the robots from shooting them with their missiles. So you need to catch the missiles with your psychokinesis, and when you're actually grabbing a hold of them like this, if they touch the barrels, they'll just clip right through them. So as long as Silver is grabbing them, it's like the barrels aren't really there. And this doesn't make the bloodiest bit of sense to me, because although we can't do it for this mission, in the hub world, in general, in the hub world, or in other town missions, we can pick up those red barrels and just throw them. They don't do anything. They're no different to the blue barrels. So exactly what makes these ones deadlier is beyond me, but if they're that dangerous, Why have you just got them out in the open like this? I mean, we've seen what Soleanna's security is. It's those... the clone policeman in green. So, maybe that's why, because Soleanna sucks at security. Who knows? So now we need to go outside of the warehouse in order for us to go inside the warehouse. And Alan here, he is someone who you can... This is a town mission that, as far as I'm aware, you can only do after completing Silver's story. Even though it's not actually the last one in the mission select. I don't think it's possible to do this one until you've completed Silver's story, because at the time of its unlocking, you can't actually get into the New City Hub world. You're stuck in Castletown, so you can't complete this mission until the door is unlocked. So this will be the last one you do. Oh, come on. Really? He was already dead. So how did he hurt me? Anyway, this mission, this one's a pain. This is just about the most difficult one to get the S rank in, and in order to do that, you need to take a really specific route, and unfortunately, the one I recorded was not the specific route. The enemies do appear in set locations. They'll appear out in the open like this, or they will appear between certain buildings. The buildings with blue roofs. And what you need to do is you need to defeat all of the enemies around here in order to get the final group to appear, and then you just take those out and it's just like normal. It's just another destroy all of the enemies mission. Unfortunately, finding the enemies is the main issue with this one. And this is a very difficult S rank to get, because not only do you need to try and complete this mission as fast as possible, you also need to collect every single ring in this entire mission. There's about 50 of them. So if you get hurt, you can't pick up any more than 20. So if you get hurt, you've missed any of the rings, you're not getting the S rank. That is all I could tell, because it took me so many retries to get the S rank on this one. It's a pain. There's no enemies on top of the warehouses, and there's nothing telling you which warehouses you need to go in between. There's only two. You need to go between this one right here that we're about to approach with the barriers, and then you need to go around the other side of this one, or the next one, whichever it is. Oh look, I'm picking up red barrels. I hit it into a monster that's made of fire, and it's completely and utterly fine. So, clearly the barrels can't be that dangerous, so I don't know what the point of that last mission was. And they will appear on both sides. The barrels, I do think, can be quite effective weapons. Unfortunately, they do have a bit of an issue of getting stuck in the walls. So even if you pick them up, I can't seem to move them about. Even though I've been able to do that with plenty of the other objects I've picked up, it for some reason won't let me do it with the barrels. So, just pick up and throw what you can. Otherwise, you're just going to have to do it the long way and wait for Silver to actually be able to stun these guys with their very selective shields. You know, I think it's supposed to be that you got to wait for the core to appear, but even then, that doesn't always work. So, it is a bit of a waiting game with this one. But I am going the wrong way, by the way. Yeah. The really long way. You need to go between all the circular buildings. And actually, one thing that I wasn't able to show off was that after you completed the previous mission, if you go over to the cylindrical buildings, not these ones, the ones on the other side, you could, if you completed the Protect the Barrels mission when it's first unlocked during the story, that was it, you don't have to destroy every enemy. But if you can complete the Protect the Barrels mission when it first appears in Silver's story, you will actually be able to speak to a character that you can only speak to at that one specific point of Silver's story after completing that one mission. And if you go to another mission, he's gone. And that is Hatson the Pigeon. He isn't like some sort of mutant creature, he is a pigeon. But they gave dialogue to the pigeon. All he ever says is, coo. But they gave dialogue to the pigeon, and I've no idea why. I don't know. Maybe one day we'll get a spin-off starring Hatson the Pigeon, I don't know. But for some reason we can speak to a pigeon. And that is what you call timing. But sadly, because I didn't complete the mission when it was first unlocked, I wasn't able to show him off. That's why I edited up to the point where I spoke to Alan here, because it was just showing off nothing. It's only Ku, that's the only thing he says, and I have no idea why we can talk to this pigeon. But for some reason we can. And for some reason he has a name. So it's just a mystery as to just who this Hatson the Pigeon is. And another thing I'm not going to be able to show off, because I didn't know about it until after completing Shadow's story, is that by the power of clipping, you can actually go through the doorway from Castletown into New City before you should gain access to it, because you can only do that after defeating Mephiles. But if you do it before heading into Dusty Desert, before you've completed the story for the first time, it is possible to clip through the doors and you can end up within New City, where there's actually cars. There's cars just roaming all over the place with their horns constantly honking, and it gets very annoying very fast. And their AI is terrible. They're just driving into buildings, they're reversing, and then driving back into the building. That's all they're doing. They have terrible AI, and every single character you talk to will have the exact same dialogue box. So you could be talking to an old woman, and it will call her old woman. But then you can talk to a kid, and it will still call it old. It will just still say old woman with the exact same bit of dialogue, unless it's one of the characters that you can speak to when you revisit the hub world. But then the dialogue will be stuck on that one until you get to another character who you should be able to speak to. And you can actually talk to Hatson the Pigeon. And not only that, it also shows a few other interesting things. You can see every single one of the mirror teleporters that we've been able to go through to access the stages. They don't work. And it also shows us that Crisis City and Flame Core also had teleporters, because we never use them to get into those stages, because we always access them via the story. But they did have mirrors with images of Crisis City and Flame Core within them. And we can also play a deleted mission for Shadow. It's just another defeat the enemies one, but it's a full-on mission that was deleted, but you can still access it via glitching. There's actually a few missions that got deleted from this game, and within the files you can find all sorts of descriptions for the titles of the missions that have been taken out, including some which made you use certain power-ups that weren't in the final game, making use of certain abilities, and a lot of them are still destroyed the enemies, and even some which showcase that you were going to be using some of your Amigo characters. In the end, the only mission where we have to use Amigo characters is the Three Musketeers. But it does showcase quite a lot of interesting stuff, and it was kind of a shame that I didn't discover until after completing Shadow's story, and I'm not starting the entire game again just to showcase an unused mission, because then I'd have to do everything all over again. Well, I wouldn't have to, but I may as well, because I don't really have a because. It's just why not? Because gold medals. It would make everything I did before completely and utterly pointless. And, well, anyway. So it is now time for the next... Oh, well, we're now in Castletown. This is where most of Silver's missions is. Most of Silver's missions is, yes. I is good at grammar. This is where most of Silver's missions are. And we actually have a couple that are the same as Sonic's missions, like this one we're about to do here. So with Sonic, we had the challenge for the boys of Soliana, and now we have to do it again. We are chasing the kids around Soliana again, so it is now time for the Silver the Hedgehog and Poochie show. And much like before, they still sound like dogs whenever you catch them. I find this one to be a bit more memorable than Sonic's. The Sonic requires you to sort of go out of your way around the hub world a bit. This one is pretty much just a circle around the hub world. It's not complete, but that is what you're doing for the most part. Like, this is the one part where you're not. You're pretty much going through the middle of the hub world. As long as you take a right turn and go through this archway, we're now just going around the hub world. That's all we have to do. The kids are easy to spot. And again, they are in set locations. At least I think they are, because one of them was in a very different place to where he was last time I did this, so I'm not sure what happened there. They do seem to have like a set particular areas where they'll run around, so maybe he just has quite a large range. I'm not sure what it is, but for some reason that particular kid was in a very different spot to where I was expecting him to be, but yeah, it just made it helped me with the mission. It just allowed me to complete it faster, so that's helpful. So I'm not really going to complain about it, and I'm going to stop saying the word "so" after every few words. I know there are people that absolutely hate when people start a sentence with the word "so." So I am going to stop saying "so" later. So we need to. There we go again. When we're going to the Eustace section of the hub world again, and this kid right here, I was not expecting him to be here. I was expecting him to be on the other side of the bridge over there, so I'll stop myself soon. I promise. And now we can just grab this kid right here. Touch! We got all the kids! Huzzahs! I'll stop myself. Points. Easy S rank. Again, a lot more memorable than Sonic's because they're just in easier places to remember them. We get a lot of rings for Silver, and we just don't need them. Silver doesn't get any optional upgrades whatsoever. Right, this mission here. This mission is the reason I wish that Silver had a lock-on cursor for his psychokinesis. Because it's really hard to aim at these targets. That's all we're doing here. We just pick up an object, fire at the targets. It sounds so simple. And at the beginning of the mission, these ones right here, they're easy enough to hit. But later on, we start getting these targets into some very narrow areas. And it really makes aiming a pain, because it's just automatic aiming. And then it's just a matter of whether or not Silver is actually going to destroy the targets when something is thrown at them. Because how many things did I just throw at that target that did absolutely nothing? When it should have broken on the very first one. And it makes breaking them just a pain. Everything just lasts longer than it's supposed to. And that's going to... Again, this is another one of those where the S rank is quite a strict time limit. And this one took me a number of tries again. And a lot of it's just luck based as to whether or not the actual targets will break when you hit them, which is really annoying. Because it's a very simple process, but it's luck based as to whether or not they'll actually break when Silver hits them. Because your sign bonus is going to be going down quite quickly, and I was pretty close. But when I was retrying this mission, I either did it faster or slower. Because the targets simply wouldn't break, or Silver just wouldn't aim at them because all of the objects were stuck against the walls. And they'll partially clip through them, but they'll still remain stuck there. Doesn't make sense to me because this game has such wonderful physics. And slowdown. If there's one thing I really hate about Silver, it's when the slowdown. I don't get why there's so much more for Silver than there is with Sonic. Even when I'm going slower, I mean, it's not like I was using my psychokinesis. And if there's one time that I really hate it when there's slowdown, it's when I'm on a results screen. It happens for one of the missions. I forget which one. I don't even remember if it was Silver or Shadow. I think it's one of Silver's, and I get slowdown on the results screen, and the results screen just takes forever because of it. Like, even if you do try to skip all of the totaling up, it's still a slower process, and it just takes forever. Just for the results screen to disappear. And that is... I just hate that. What causes the slowdown there? Once the slowdown is on the results screen, it will be there from the very beginning of it, and it won't go away. At the very least, when I'm running around the hub world, or in the stages, or the missions, the slowdown is at the very least temporary, even if it does last for quite a long time, and the moment it disappears, it almost instantly comes back again. But it just doesn't go away when you're at the loading screen. Not at the results screen, and oh no! Cut! Okay. I don't know why I'm making this sound like it's live, because it isn't, but... What exactly is it that we're grabbing a hold of here? Because the Egg Lancers fire these precise, whatever they are, they have precise shots, but they don't, their range isn't exactly all that great. Like, they can't hit me. Those ones, they cannot hit me. Unfortunately, we now have the gold robots, and these guys can most definitely hit me, even without actually touching the explosions. And that is why I am continually moving around, wasting time, simply because of the giant missiles that cause explosions that can hurt me, even when I'm not actually touching said explosion. And unfortunately, there's a lot of robots here, but thankfully this is the last set, and that is a lot. Look at all those Eggman's robots. This is only the beginning. Actually, it's not. This is the end. But just suddenly, this is reminding me of the robot battles from Sonic Heroes. Except you can actually destroy all of those robots in one go. Sadly, you can't do that for the gold ones or the Egg Lancers, but at the very least I can kill those in one go. No need to level myself up. Although I do wish we could level up Silver, because I don't like Silver. And I will still never understand who made the stupid decision to take out that speed chip. Because it's a mandatory power-up. Come on, look at this. This is as fast as I can go. Why would you take out the speed chip? Why couldn't we take out the teleport dash? Because that's all around useless. And granted, it has helped me get away from a few attacks from certain enemies, but it's very rare that I actually get any actual use out of it. So why not just give us the speed chip? Better yet, why make him slow in the first place? Sonic Rivals came out like 3 days after this, and he can run as fast as Sonic, he can spin dash, he can homing attack. All for a game that came out at pretty much the same time as this one. So why is Silver so drastically different? And and how did this guy get up here? Is this guy psychic as well? I mean, as we saw at the beginning of the video, the police officer guy gave us a mission where apparently we're taking part in the police officer training, and we had to hover through the ring, so apparently all of Soleanna's police force are capable of using psychokinesis. So I don't know why they have to keep relying on a blue, black, and silver hedgehogs to rescue their princess. Well, all they do is just stand there trying to get you to guess which one's the captain, even when he himself is the captain. And look, we're going through yet more rings. This is the last time we're doing this with Silver, thank God. And there's nothing to say about this. It's just going through more rings. Just try not to fall off of the rooftops. So, see, I did miss those, but I still had enough left in my action gauge to make those. It just meant that I missed out on 400 points. Although with some of these missions, you do want to try and get as many points as you can, because the time bonus isn't quite going to be enough. Or it's going to be very strict. And even if you do make it, it's still terrifying when you know that you're so close to missing out on the S rank and you only just make it. And I always hate it when something like that happens. And this game this is where that sort of thing is going to happen. It's not really an issue in any of the other games. When it's a game I actually care about when it happens or not, which is pretty much any game that isn't Secret Rings or Black Knight, and to an extent Shadow the Hedgehog. I do like to try and get the highest rank possible, although with some games that is an absolute pain. I can do it in Heroes easily, because that's the one I have the most experience with. I can do it in Unleashed, PS2 Wii version, quite easily, although some of the day stages do give me trouble. But when it comes to the likes of Sonic Adventure 2, which is a game that I really don't think has aged that well, although it's one of the ones I have the least experience with, trying to get all of the A ranks on that was nightmarish. Especially with the treasure hunting levels and some of the mech shooting stages, especially when you have to try and get 100 rings or all the cheap enemy placements. It's a nightmare. It's just a nightmare. And then Shadow the Hedgehog, well, that was one of the absolute worst. I can't decide between Shadow the Hedgehog or the PS2 version of Shadow the Hedgehog, the worst version. I haven't A-ranked all the GameCube missions. But that and Adventure 2, They were the worst ones. I wouldn't consider them to be the worst now, because I definitely think that that honour goes to the HD version of Sonic Unleashed, more specifically when you have the DLC, because the DLC in Sonic Unleashed HD compared to the 06, it's definitely more worth it in terms of what it has to offer, because it actually has you go through some new stages. It's still in the same locations, it's still Rooftop Run, it's still Dragon Road, it's still Jungle Joyride. But at the very least, it has you go through some newly designed stages. Not all of them are, you are still going through remakes of older stages. And unlike this game, some of that DLC does also patch a few of the game's problems up. I don't know what those issues are, because the frame rate issues are still very much there, and my game still crashes every now and then. But it's at least more worth it than this. I mean, it's more expensive than this, and the actual price seems to vary from DLC to DLC. But it's still better than anything this has to offer. I actually think that the DLC is the best way to experience the Werehog. But when it comes to the day stages, I'll definitely play 06's very hard mode over the Unleashed Day Stages DLC. Because those stages are just, they're so horribly designed in some areas where I swear it's impossible for you to actually complete it without getting hurt. Some sections you just cannot avoid getting hurt. And as such, whereas some day stages require you to take no damage runs, others require you to pretty much, you will take a damage run, so you don't need to get a huge ring bonus. And I don't think I've ever encountered a Sonic stage that is so horrendously cheap as Dragon Road Act 2-2. There were a lot of cheap stages. I mean, Dragon Road Act 1-2. I didn't think I spent so long there. I thought, oh god, this can't get any worse. And I got to the next one, and that is the worst stage in Sonic for me. And there's a lot that I don't like. Lost Jungle and Heroes. If you're playing the PS2 version, you're going to be clipping through those IVs a lot. And then we have the likes of, let me think here. I always used to get lost in Carnival Night Zone. It was never the barrel that was a problem, it was just the level itself. Nowadays I like Carnival Night Zone now. I don't like Marble Garden, I do always get lost in that one, but I wouldn't consider that one to be one of the worst. I don't like Cannon's Core, I don't like... Eggman Land's not so bad actually. Rooftop Run Act 2, I never did like that one. Especially the DLC one again, Act 2-2. Because of such wonderful names. And I completely forgot about this guy, somehow. Look, he's back. Sonic Man is back. There's a few others. Evil Foundry was... I don't like that one, it's Secret Rings. And then there's... before Dragon Road Act 2-2, there was... Shadow the Hedgehog's Expert Mode. And that would be, I'm trying to remember its name now, Cosmic Fall. The Expert Mode for that one, Jesus Christ. But those are discussions for another day. This is our final town mission with Silver, and it's exactly the same as what we did with Sonic. And, well look, even Silver can easily beat him in a foot race. There's no gems to abuse, and that can be an issue because this is another one that is a pain to S rank. Because the difference can all be in a matter of 1 second. That can be the difference between probably an S and a B, let alone an S and an A. And I just barely make it. Again, the S rank is 30,000 points. My time bonus is 30,000 points. But I'm not going to be getting anything else. And what confuses me is that the mission is called Sonic Man Returns, but since that was an optional mission in Sonic Story as well, you could potentially do this one first. Therefore, the title really wouldn't make any sense whatsoever. But it doesn't matter. I know this is a Sonic adventure, but still, it doesn't matter. That is the end of Silver's missions. That still looks like a painful shot, but anyway, that is the end of Silver's missions. So, the next time we meet up, we will be doing the town missions for Shadow, which I'm glad to say I've already recorded, so it won't take that long for me to get that one up and running. So, I will see you guys then.